here with Stuart Hayward-Higham, the Chief Technical Development and Innovation Officer at Suez Recycling and Recovery UK, a position you've held since January 2023?
So I joined Suez 30 years ago this June.
Okay, but you had multiple roles in that time, is that
I've
right?
had 10 roles in Suez. In fact, I joined an American company called BFI that was bought by CETA that became Suez.
Okay.
So I've had 10 roles in the group, from an engineer on site up to board.
Very impressive. And you've also recently joined the Circular Economy Taskforce when it was created in just under a year ago now, end of last year.
Yeah, October, November last year.
And then you are on the advisory board for EPR. So you are a very busy man. I think that can be seen in the fact that you've also already been on two panels, the Task Force panel and the PackUK panel. And then later today, you will be appearing on the Emission Trading Scheme panel organised by Suez.
Yeah, so looking forward to it.
How has your ESS been so far?
Super busy. I think it's been really interesting to do longer sessions. Some of the sessions yesterday were both an hour each, which is unusually long, but quite interesting to get a few more questions and a bit more depth. Super enthused by the questions and the enthusiasm and the interest. The Circular Economy panel session was rammed full, and people on the outside, and I think that shows the interest in not the current set of regulations we've got. We've got a lot of stuff coming at the moment, but we're now, the sector's interested in what's coming after this current set. So what happens after packaging EPR, what happens after simple recycling, in the next set of regulations, which is what the task force is looking at.
Right. And was that one of the prevailing themes across both of your panels, that people are actually now already pushing to find out more and what is next?
I think there's two bits. One is, I think there's a really interest in how it all knits together. There's lots of things moving, and therefore to put them together into one storyline that says, well, this simple recycling is doing this, and then in April 27 we have to do flexibles, so they're interested in flexibles, so there's Flex Collect interested in PackUK, and PackUK are going to get a PRO, so what's the PRO going to do? So there's lots of integration going on, the kind of how all these things fit together. And then there's, what does it mean to me? And then the second is, and then how does everything else that's coming, digital waste tracking, waste carrier changes, landfill bans, ETS, how all those things think, which are not here yet, but are coming. And then Circular Economy Taskforce is, okay, once we've got through all of those, what else is coming in built environment, in agri-food, in textiles, and other things like that. So I think everyone's getting used to change, and they want to kind of put it all in context and understand how that change impacts on them and their customers.
Yeah, and David Greenfield, who we spoke to yesterday, told us that the task force is currently taking about 2 days of his time a week. Is it as busy for you?
Yeah, it's been, we contracted for roughly 2 days a week when we started, so it's been 2 days a week, every week.
Wow.
It kind of flexes in those sometimes, a bit more, a bit less, depending on what it is. We're doing an awful lot of, so I'm in the textiles subgroup, so myself, Wayne, and Phil Pennell from Leeds Uni, we're doing a lot of stakeholder engagement, so we're testing ideas, we're getting feedback, we're getting other people's data and stuff to come in. Really valuable, but it takes time to do 2 or 3 of those a week, on top of reading the stuff and helping with the DEFRA thinking. The DEFRA guys have been really, really good at giving us access to resources and their own data and knowledge. So it's been a real co-creation, something that we hoped for when we started, but we've not done co-creations in the sector before, so I'm a great fan of it. I think it's been a brilliant way of designing policy together, rather than having government design policy and us comment on it, getting together.
What do you think the creation of the task force tells us about the government's willingness to engage with this sector? I feel this government is particularly good at listening to what the industry has to say.
I think there's a difference in listening and co-creation. So I thought the reason that we wanted to commit my time to that, if we could get on the committee, was we're great fans of that continued engagement. So it's not about listening, it's about working together, and therefore the co-creation model was really interesting. Can we make it work? I'm hoping that DEFRA and the sector and all the people that have been part of it all think it works, because I think that sends a message that actually government, having trialled this, never done it before, that it works, it's a good model, and we should do it in more things. So I'm hoping that this becomes a model that they adopt for other things going forward. It's built a lot of ownership. For us in textiles, we really want to see it through the journey, not do it and then kind of like drop away and let someone else finish it. And that, I think that ownership is super important in consistency and passion in the process.
And I'm interested in the work of the textiles subgroup. I'm sure one of the things you must be considering is textiles extended producer responsibility. Is that on your agenda?
So all the stakeholders that we've talked to all want an EPR system. So it wasn't. We started with a blank agenda. Or everybody, I think, virtually everybody has said we want the textile. We need one for trade parity with Europe. So they're looking at kind of not being out of kilter with Europe too much. They've done an awful lot of work. They've done some really detailed work on what eco-modulation might look like. So rather than having to go and find out what to do, we've been husbanding what everyone's been looking at. And we've had CEOs writing to government saying we're really important that we have a textiles EPR system before the end of this parliament. So it's not government pressing the sector, it's the sector pressing government for action. Yeah. So we've been relatively lucky that we've been able to harvest all that and put it together. But yeah, the industry itself is calling for an EPR system that covers a multitude of different things, from repair to resale to recycle.
Brilliant. And then, of course, in August this year, it was announced that you have joined the Efficiency and Effectiveness Technical Advisory Committee, also known as the E&E-TAC, to guide the work of PackUK. Is that work underway? How is it going, if so?
So E&E tax, we call it. So we've had an inaugural meeting. So bit of scene setting, bit of getting to know who else is on the committee. We haven't really started some of the meaty work, but there's quite a lot of meaty work to do. Again, I think having a mix of authorities and private sector and others in the room to work out what the right answer is and to help tune the system to be a positive. I'm really keen that the efficient and effective is a tool for positivity in the system. It's about making sure that we do it the best job possible at the least cost possible, not just the least cost or just not the best job. We have to balance the two. And it's very similar to us as a private contractor. When local authorities pay us to do a service, they're looking over our shoulder going, are you spending our money efficiently and effectively in delivering the services that we're paying you for? So in a sense, we should pick it up and go, this is a real positive. And I'm hoping the committee ends up being a real positive driver of confidence in change, and confidence in peer-to-peer learning. Because there's some people that you can take learning from and go, actually, if I can take what they've done and apply it to my authority, then that's good. And accepting the fact there's quite a lot of complexity in housing stock and rurality and deprivation that we also have to be very minded to as to what the potential for performance is. So I know I'm super empowered that has a lot of potential, but very early stages. One introductory meeting, so we've not really got into the meat at the moment.
When was the meeting? Was it recently?
In the last week or so.
Okay, wonderful. So it's all fresh.
Yes.
It's all getting going. Okay, great. And then later today, you will appear on the Emissions Trading Scheme panel, organised by Suez. That's at 11 a.m. on the Summit Theatre, which is also sponsored by Suez. Have you been over to see the space?
I've been over and been using our seating area next door as well, to chill out and meet some people. So great for networking.
Good, wonderful. Talking about the Emissions Trading Scheme, do you think the industry understands the extent of the impact that the scheme will have?
So, yes, in principle. I think the detail of what will flow back through packaging EPR, because then that has an impact. If I was joining up with the previous discussion, what money you get for packaging would depend on how efficient and effective you are. So there's quite a lot of linkage between ETS, packaging, PEPR, simple recycling, etc. So that relationship is emerging.
Yeah.
Therefore, been very busy doing some residual waste testing. So it's been interesting to see some of that data, which we've had back from the Suez sites that we used in some of that work, to understand what's in the residual waste. Also, the different answer for DRS materials, because that's a different mechanism. Then you've got materials like POPs, which have to be burnt. So there is no decarbonisation route. So how does central government work with local government in things where ETS is a performance-based economic instrument? So how does that get compensated? Is that a new burden? How does that new burden work? So I think there's a general understanding, but there's an awful lot of detail and nuance that the sector has to drive out yet. And places like this, when we do the conferences, helps bring out not only what we can help other people, but the questions that we get in drive understanding of what is understood, what nuances we haven't seen yet. So it's a really good interchange.
And I suppose the plastics industry itself is just in a difficult position right now. So it remains to be seen how that develops as we get closer to ETS.
Yeah, we with Ecosurety and the brands published the Letsrecycle report a couple of weeks ago. We put a big section in there about some of the trials and tribulations of the end markets, which aren't linked just to flexibles, they're linked to all the plastics markets. I know government's very aware of it. We see actions and discussions around plastic packaging tax and stuff. So how to solve it's more difficult because it's not just a UK issue.
Yeah.
We can see European capacity struggling. So maybe there's a CBAM in there or some WTO conditions that might then apply. So yeah, not an easy solution, but everyone's aware that there is a problem that has to be solved.
Okay, brilliant. One last question. Other than your own panel, which you will be on, is there anything else you're looking forward to seeing or doing today at ESS?
For me, I stop every 10 yards talking to somebody. So it's like drug-induced networking. So just to talk to people on the stands, just to meet all the people that are here that want to talk to you or I want to talk to them, is a super important part of the conference. I think downloads and panel sessions and the presentations are really useful, but actually the networking is the other half of the conference and where it brings value.
I agree. Thank you so much, Stuart. Great to see you.
Thanks.
Thank you.